I want to get back to this idea of if an agent's listening and they want to raise their average price point, how do they do it? How did you do it?
Well, you just concentrate on areas that have a higher price point, and you, if you're going to do any prospecting, if you're going to do anything, go to those areas more. Now, I happened to move to an area with a higher price point, but it took me 4 or 5 years to actually realize that I should be doing business there.
Mastermind Agent is proud to present Success Calls. Top real estate agents from across North America reveal their success secrets, strategies, and systems in up-close and personal interviews. You can find all the calls at www.mastermindagent.com.
Hi, I'm Mike Cerrone with Mastermind Agent, and welcome to Success Calls. This month's top agent is Chuck House with Keller Williams in Memphis, Tennessee. Welcome to the call, Chuck.
Thank you.
Hey, Chuck, it's great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us today. Real excited to talk to you about your business. Before we talk about what you're doing today, though, let's go back for a minute and talk about what you did before you got into real estate.
So before I got into real estate, I was with a family business that did metal stamping and fabricating. I worked as an engineer and supervisor of production staff.
And how long did you do that?
So about 7 years.
And was that like right out of college?
Right out of college. And then actually I did real estate and that for a while. And then at some point I just went ahead and made the break to full-time real estate.
Let's dig into that just for a minute. So first of all, why did you decide to get your real estate license?
Well, I was actually one step back, actually. I was doing real estate investing, buying and flipping and buying and holding. And I missed a deal that I thought I should have made. So I went and got my license so I wouldn't miss that same house again. And it kind of evolved over time from helping sell my listings, of course. I could get them on MLS. I could find more deals. I could get commission on the deals I was paying somebody else commission for. And then a few friends would say, hey, you seem to know what you're doing. Why don't you sell my house? I said, I don't really do that for other people, but I'll be glad to do that for you. And by the way, you're buying another house and there's a $10,000 commission. So it was attractive. And at some point, when I came to Keller Williams, they had the millionaire real estate agent model, which was interesting to me. It took me a while to finally implement it, but having a model, having a plan was not something I started out doing. And then I started doing less and less investing, and then 2008 made that decision for me. So I then was headed that way anyway, but I decided, you know what, I've got this model, I should do it. So I halfway did it for a little while. And then in 2013, I fully went all in and started developing a team and set a goal of 100 houses. And we had 98 houses. And on December 28th, I'll never forget this, someone called and they said, hey, we get that closing on the 3rd. Do you mind if we move it up to the 30th? Because it's a cash deal. And of course, the seller was already out of the house and we had both sides. So that gave us our 100th deal. So I learned a lot about goal setting that year, So from then on, we've done 100 houses every year. And this past year we did 109. Right now, we're on schedule to do quite a bit more than that this year. Probably over 120 deals this year.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I want to go back and dig in a little bit there to some of those early days. You said there was a transition period where you were kind of in part-time in real estate. You were doing some flips. Not sure if you were still doing the fabrication and the engineering.
Right, we did drop that because I was able to go full-time just doing investing.
And when was that? So you said you've had your license for about...
That was like in 97.
97, okay. Okay, so back in 97, so 97 to 2008, you said you went full-time 2008. Did I get that correct?
Well, I was full-time before that, but I still did some of the investment stuff. And frankly, the reason I did it was because I wasn't making enough money just being an agent to do the things I wanted to do with my family. And since, even though that we went through 08, 09, 10, even though we went through all that, I made enough money just to be an agent and still have a nice life with my family and go on vacation and have cars and, buy kids new shoes and stuff like that to be fairly on trend anyway, and say, have the stuff you want to have. And then starting in 2013, when we started implementing our plan and really working our plan, we've been very blessed, and I don't have to work.
Side took off.
Yeah, I don't have to work all the time anymore.
Right. So prior to 2013, when you ran the team model, were you an individual agent, a solo agent?
First, a quick word from our sponsor, RealGTV, Real Estate Agent Lead Generation Television. Need more referrals? Get a free script and simple 3-part plan used by a top agent to receive and close 74 referral transactions in 1 year. Just go to freereferralscript.com. That's freereferralscript.com. Now, back to the show.
So my wife and I were both agents. We were sort of a team, and we didn't have a plan. We listed houses. I think we did a good job selling them. We did a great job for buyers buying houses, but we didn't have a specific written plan. We didn't have a specific goal. Our goal was to do as many as we could do. And it was something magic about writing that number down and telling people. I told a lot of people about that stupid number.
I want to come back to that. I'm not going to leave that alone, but I want to get the run up to that because It's going to connect with people that may be in that groove right now, right? So I want you to flash back mentally to that time and tell us about, how many closings were you having each year? You said you were you and your wife were running as fast as you could, but you were trying to keep up, and you had to have this side income with the investment properties.
Well, we would do 35 deals one year, 52 the next, 47. So we were doing 6 million to, I think our best year ever was 10. And then we immediately went to 25 million. But we were back and forth, 6 million one year, 7 million, 8 million, 7 million. There was no rhyme or reason to what we did. It was just the deals we happened to be doing at that time.
So the year that you set the goal, 2013, for 100 closings, the year prior, it sounds like you were doing half of that, something around 40 or 50 units maybe.
Yep. We did 12 million the previous year.
1 year. So go ahead.
We doubled in 1 year, yes.
Okay, and you attribute that to writing it down. Now,
we wrote it down, and we hired an assistant, and I remember talking to her, and she said, well, I don't really want a full-time job. And I said, well, that's perfect, because we don't really want to commit to paying you full-time. We have no idea how many hours you're going to be working. We'll guarantee you 20 hours a week and guaranteeing you won't work more than 35. We're not sure what you're going to be doing, but the first thing you need to do is get out a newsletter every month for us. And the first thing she had to do is make sure we had good addresses for all the people that had been calling me up from time to time and saying, hey, are you still in the real estate business? That's this. At least the second time you get that call, you need to do something. The first time should be the wake-up call. I got it 3 or 4 times, and finally it occurred to me that I had a group of people that were very satisfied with my services, but that weren't even sure if I was still in the business. So it was very, so we got that list together, and we started mailing to them. We called them all, told them what we were doing. And for the first 5 months, we had a few people say they got the newsletter, but not much. And after that, we got a few deals here and there. After 1 year, it just started pouring in. But we did get deals between 5 months and 1 year. But after the 1 year is really when it started pouring in. And it got so much easier. This business got so much easier because I was dealing with people that already knew me, liked me, and trust me, or their friends. So it became a much different business for us.
Do you remember how big that list was that first time you put it together with your new assistant?
125 people.
125 people, and that launched this thing and helped you double that year.
Yeah.
I want to go back, though. I know I'm kind of pushing you back into the past for a minute, but I want to talk about that year. You set this goal and everything took off. You said you wrote it down. I want to break this down. You wrote it down. Where did you write it down? When and how often did you review it, and how did you review it? How did you stay on target? Did you use any visuals on any walls? What specifically were you doing that was helping you get in that mindset to double?
So we kept track of closings. That's all we kept. We didn't want to keep track of too many things, so we did closings. So we estimated how many listings it would take to get how many deals. And at the time in 2012 and 13, our mindset was however many houses we listed were how many we would sell. So we wouldn't sell every listing, but we would sell buyers also. So it would come about that. So we figured, I think we ended up taking 57 listings and selling 50 of them and selling 50 buyers. So, but yeah, we did that. We checked every month to see how we didn't, which was a mistake. Looking back, we didn't check to see, we did just write it down, but we didn't concentrate on how many listings we were taking. We were just saying how we were on track to get it. But just the act of that kept us going pretty well. And I think we had done 50 or 52 in the first half and did 50 or 48 in the second half. I can't remember now, it was a while ago, but we did keep track of it often.
And when you, where did you track it? Did you have it in writing somewhere? Was it on a wall?
It was on the wall. It was on the wall. What we did, and I'll show you, we've got this right now. Let me see if I can do this. We have charts. I don't know if you can see this, but we have charts with our closings. But you can see the pieces of paper, what they look like. They're charts that you can buy at office supply store, and there's adhesive at the top. And they've got some lines on there, but they're faint. And so we wrote down the number of listings, the number of buyers, and the total. And that's all we did. Nothing fancy.
So powerful. So powerful. Yeah, we used to use dry erase markers on a board, a big giant board, and mark.
We've got one of those too now.
You'll be able to see it, right? When you walk in, you know where you are and where you want to go.
We've got great computer systems now, but we still have this thing sitting up on the wall every day when we walk in.
Oh, I hope everybody just listened to what you said. So you said you have a computer system where this is all being tracked, but you put it up on the wall because you want to see it, right? It's a little more physical.
Yep, absolutely.
Very nice. Thank you for doing that with me and flashing back, and what a great story. And then you mentioned that once you hit that goal of 100, you've been able to maintain that. Not only hit it, but maintain it every year for what's it been now, 7 years or so?
7 or 8 years, yeah. So it's been, honestly, it's pretty easy to maintain because we keep mailing to the same people. We get 70% of our business by referral and repeat. And then the other business is basically answering the phone, responding to emails about our listings. And we do a little bit of paid Zillow, not much. And we respond to those. And we do open houses and follow up with people on open houses. But that's kind of what we do. We don't do a lot of other stuff, and we haven't had the need. Now, we do track every single sale. For the last 8 years, I have a record. And I would say it's at least 98, 99% accurate. It's 100% accurate, but sometimes there's two sources. You can't really tell for sure, so we just choose one of them. But my point is we keep track of every sale because if you think about it, you may not know where a lead came from, but you know where a sale came from. I mean, that's a pretty big deal for us. I mean, our average commission is $9,000, so a little over. But, so you remember where that came from. So it's important to know that because you can divide that back into how much you spent and you'll know what your cost of closings are.
Let's talk about, we're kind of jumping around, but we're filling in the blanks of the story, which is kind of fun here. So let's keep doing that. Back in 2013, prior to 2013, it was just you and your wife, correct? And then you brought in the part-time, 20 hours a week. They didn't know if they wanted to go full-time. You didn't know if you wanted to pay it. And I understand that. I did the exact same thing, part-time. I was going to split it with somebody else, and then they fell off the last minute. I had to go full-time by force. But you kind of edged into it. That first year that you hit 100, did you have just one part-time assistant?
So I had one part-time assistant who probably averaged 28 or 30 hours. Of course, me and my wife are partners. And then about midway through, we did hire a buyer's agent.
Okay, so the first year, by the end of the year, you have 4 people. You had
Correct.
you and your wife listing, you had a buyer agent, and you had an admin person.
Yeah, and my wife and I both, but my wife mostly, were still doing buyers.
Okay, so you were doing buyers and sellers, and you were bringing somebody in to help with the extra buyers that would come along.
Yes.
Okay, good. And then did you run in that formation for a while, or did you start to bring other people in the following year?
No, we ran in that formation for a while, and then that buyer's agent broke off, started her own team, or to go out on her own. Now she's got her own team, and so we had, just by luck, we had a client call us and say she's wanting to get in real estate, but she didn't know where to start. And when we met with her, she said, I don't really have any job skills for real estate except for I'm good at cold calling.
So you're like, yay!
So we met with her very quickly, and she, became very successful. Shortly after that, we had someone find us an assistant. She had been an assistant for 3 years with a team in another city, and I knew immediately that she was going to be great. And so she came on, and she's actually our contract to close person. So at that point, we broke it apart from from listing manager and contract to close manager, or we call them closings manager. And so we broke those 2 jobs in half. Now, our volume continued to go up, but mostly through just our average sale price going up. Our level of service kept going up the whole time, because when you have a team, ideally you'll be able to give much better service, and we do. So through that service, it makes our business so much easier, because we don't have to go out there and advertise, I'm Chuck House number 1, all this kind of stuff. So, we don't have any mass media, advertising about our team.
Chuck, let me ask you, you've been running at about 100 units now for 7 years, which, by the way, before I ask the question, that's phenomenal. But there's going to be people listening who are going to be saying, well, why didn't you go to 200, 300, 400, or 500 over those 7 years?
Well, I will tell you that there's 2 reasons. One is a misunderstanding on my part about how hard it would be and how risky it would be to expand to that level. So I would not be in charge of everything at that point. I don't necessarily want to be in charge. I'm not dying to be in charge, but I do want every customer to get great customer service. And that's, to me, if you have to go out. So what I realized at one point in this business was I was very jealous of who were in the insurance business, because they had residual income. And what I realized is if we do a great job, keep in touch with the people and let them know we're doing a great job, then we have residual income too. So I never wanted to outrun my team in business. So and it's hard to expand your team. When you want to grow your team, it takes a lot of energy. When you want to keep it at the same place and do a great job, it doesn't take nearly as much. You still have to stay on top of it, but you're not working 80, 90-hour weeks and stuff like that. So, but what I found is if I keep doing that and I keep getting more and more business without advertising, and I'm only dealing with people I want to deal with. I'm not dealing with those people that are impossible to please, those people that I used to deal with, that I do everything for them and now they're mad at me. I just don't. So that's why I have not expanded, because I've intentionally kept it where I knew I could do it. Now, what I've done recently is we came up with a new business model, seeing a bunch of teams that kind of got stuck around the 200 person model, where instead of having a listing person, a buyer person, an admin person, we now have an admin per group, we have a sales group, and then we have a lead generation group. That's a professional marketing person that I've hired, who was doing marketing for 13 years before I hired her. So now that's how we're expanding our business. But the people we have in place, we have a capacity to do about 180 deals a year and still have the same level of service with no more staff. So I'm very comfortable with that.
Well, very good, Chuck. I thought you were going to go a different direction. I thought you were going to tell me that you kept it small intentionally to keep it profitable, because usually a smaller team has a much higher percentage profit margin than a big team. And I just figured you were making a great profit, want to keep that baby rolling. And Because
I'll be
we all
honest
don't
with you,
have
that's
to
a big
be.
part of it. That's
Go
a big
ahead.
part of it because yes, absolutely. That's correct. And I do know a lot of people that do twice as much business as I do that make the same or less, and they have a lot more headaches. So that's absolutely part of it, because of our customer acquisition cost is so much lower than theirs is. And
Right.
our staffing is so much lower, and I'm only dealing with that. That's absolutely part of the calculus. And I didn't know, though, how to grow it any other way. So I didn't. Not refused, but I just didn't. So we now know how to grow it with the same level of profit. I mean, we average almost 50% profit on every dollar. That's not just my dollar, but that's our team dollar.
That's beautiful. That's today, the last couple of years, net profit about
Yes.
50%. Do you
Yes.
remember back in 2013, 14, when you were just getting started, even had a smaller group? Was your percentage of profit higher then?
So yes, it was, because my wife was a full-time buyer's agent. So depending on how you look at that. So our profit margin was like 53%. Our lowest profit margin has been 43%. Our highest since then has been about 47%. But this is a wonderful business. When you think about your actual income, and you consider your friends that own other businesses that owe millions of dollars on their commercial buildings, have employees. I have great employees that are all, very competent people that are, manage themselves more or less. And I don't have whiny HR problems, so I consider this a great business for that reason. And plus I love dealing with the client. So, and I love real estate. So, I kind of love it all. So I'm very lucky to be able to do what I love.
I love it. I love the model. It's great. And again, we're only about success and proof of concept here. You've got one that's working, and I want to know what you're doing. So you have now, looks like, say you're kind of in an expansion mode, though. You think you want to go to another level. You've got some more people in. Tell me about what the team looks like today. What are just give me a big structure, an umbrella look at what the team is today, the positions and what they're responsible for, and how many people are there in each one.
So we have 6.5 people, basically. We have 6 full-time people and one, our original buyer's agent, the one that contacted us, not original, but the one that we hired, who was not in real estate, who came on, who killed it, frankly, did a great job, and she's a great buyer's agent. She decided to spend more time with her family, so she's working part-time only with her database people, and she did last year $1.6 million worth of business. So she made, a lot of pocket money, put it that way, and then we made a profit off her, plus we got to keep, all the people that she had dealt with for referrals and stuff like that. So it turned out to be a big win-win. So we've got her as a half-time buyer's agent. We have one full-time buyer's agent, my wife and I. So we only have one basically buyer's agent right now. And then we have, same thing. We have a listing manager. We have a closings manager. And then we have our director of marketing or lead generation. So really what happened was by changing to this, our percentage of listings has gone up. Now, what we're wanting to do is continue that on that rise, but have the buyers get pretty close to that. So that's going to take a minute. But right now what's happened is we've been able to increase our sales, but listings are much more profitable for us than buyers, because the buyer's agents are on their split before we even pay for anything. And we pay 100% of the cost of the business and the advertising and the leads, and then we get 50% of the revenue. So whereas with the listings, we're basically getting it all. Now, it costs us a lot of money to hire that person because, those people don't come cheap. But it doesn't take many listings for her to pay for herself, and then after that, we're getting about 90% profit.
Let me ask you, one of the things people always ask when they're putting together a team, they're concerned about how they should set up their compensation model for their agents. What have you figured out over the years? What works best for you so far?
So, what we've done is what we do, this is what we do, is we do a 50-50 model for buyer's agents on buyers. no matter where the listing came, the lead came from. That's what we do right now. And then if they have a database of the people they bring on to begin with, if one of those people lists their house, then they get 25%. If they are able to take a call, or one of their former clients they got through the house team, then they get 10% of the listing size. So that's just what we do. Different people have much different ideas about that, plus or minus. We don't really see any reason for our buyer's agents to list houses. And we don't want, like our director of marketing, she has her license. She does not sell she does not sell houses unless it's to one of her close friends and she sells 1 or 2 a year. Our listing manager has her license. She does not sell houses. She never has. But if she sold her mom a house or something, that'd be great. But we do not have, if they want to do that, they can become a buyer's agent and they'll go strictly 1099.
So I've got basically the way you've arranged it is your buyer agent is on a 50-50 split with all buyers, no matter what the source. I've got that you have a 25% referral fee paid to the buyer agent when they bring in somebody who lists with you and ends up selling that property.
That's from their database.
Say again?
That's from their database.
Right. It's from the database that they handed you when they walked in the door, right? You require them to hand you a database that says, this is my sphere of influence, which, by the way, is a really good idea. I hope you have an agreement as well.
We do, and they have 90 days, by the way, to get that in, meaning because they normally don't think of everybody when they first walk in the door. We just give them 90 days.
Good, to come up with the list or add to the list in case.
To add to the list. They have to have 80 names before they can even get started. I mean, if you don't know 80 people, then you don't need to be a realtor.
Right. Very good. Excellent. Thank you for walking us through that.
Now, a quick word from our sponsor, RealGTV, Real Estate Agent Lead Generation Television, where top agents reveal exactly how they create consistent flows of home buyer and home seller leads into their practices every month. Need more leads? Hit the pause button right now. Open Google and search RealGTV. That's REALG.TV. Now, back to the show.
Let's do this. Chuck, so everybody can get to know you a little better. Let's just do a quick speed round and make sure everybody has some grounding. First of all, what's the name of your team?
It is the house team.
The house team. Good. Somebody can look you up. And is that what it is, thehouseteam.com, for somebody to look you up online?
So it's thehouseteam901.com.
901.com. Good. Is that your area code?
That's our area code. And that would basically encompass all of our business. So everything we would do, you know how it is now, though, everybody's got numbers from everywhere. But we don't go out of any, we don't have a really wide area. For instance, we border up to Mississippi and Arkansas. We do not go over there to sell anything. We refer all that business out. So 901 is where we are. So it's houseteam901.com. And
your service area is?
It's Memphis. It's the Memphis area of Tennessee. So it's Memphis, Germantown, Collierville, Bartlett, Arlington, Lakeland, Cordova. It's mostly, frankly, it's in the suburbs of Memphis.
Very good. And you said, I think you've been licensed how many years now?
So 20 years.
About 20 years. Very good. And last year, I know you told us earlier, but tell me again, how many homes did you sell and what was the volume?
109 homes. It was 39 million, a little bit more than 39 million.
39 million. How beautiful is that? I got that your average sales price, I tried to do the math and back it out, was about $359,000. Sound correct?
That sounds about right. And that's been on a steady increase, honestly, probably with the market. But we've been intentional about getting a little bit higher. So that's been higher in the last 7 years. And frankly, before that, I didn't pay any attention to that. And again, just whatever came. So That's been it was a revelation to me that we could move our price up and that the people weren't any more difficult to deal with than the other people.
I'm going to come back to that. Let me just finish this quick round. I want to come back to moving that price up. What was your percentage of buyers and sellers last year?
Oh, last year it was a little bit, it's like 52-48.
Yeah, that's what I've got here. 52 on the sell side, 48 buy side, basically even. In your career, do you recall how many homes you sold, what the volume was?
Ooh, somewhere around, was it 220 million?
Yep, I got 216 million in volume and about 867 homes. and you said you didn't track very well in the early days, but that was a pretty good estimate. So you're just under 1,000 homes in your career. Sound about right?
Sure.
Let's go with that. Very good. And you are still in personal production. That was my other thing there. Let's go back now. I want to talk about something you brought up, which is you said you raised your average price point. Now, you were talking about working with someone at an average price point. I want to get back to this idea of if an agent's listening and they want to raise their average price point, how do they do it? How did you do it?
Well, you just concentrate on the areas that have a higher price point, and you, if you're going to do any prospecting, if you're going to do anything, go to those areas more. Now, I happened to move to an area with a higher price point, but it took me 4 or 5 years to actually realize that I should be doing business there. I mean, I don't know why it didn't occur to me because I already had this other business established in a different area. And so I intentionally just told people that I was a Germantown agent. And so they said, well, you must be a Germantown agent. I literally, 2 listings. We're the #1 team in our town of Germantown, Tennessee. Last year, we did more than the last 2 combined, according to Zillow. Okay. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's what it says. And I know we did more than anybody else. And all of that business, I can trace back to 2 deals. 2 deals that, one was a friend, and one was a friend of a friend who lost his job and had to sell quickly. And it was not a great time to sell, and we were able to get them both sold. That was in 2011. And I can attribute within, 5 years or so, being #1 in the town to those 2 houses.
I want to point something out I heard that you say, and I get to talk to a lot of sharp people in the industry, and they give me the same story you just gave, which is, how did you raise your average price point? I'll hear a lot of stuff, but one thing always pops out. I moved to a more expensive neighborhood.
Really? We didn't do
isn't
it
that
on
what
purpose.
you just told me? You said you moved to that area where it was more expensive, right?
We didn't do it on purpose. We moved there for the schools.
But your mind now gets in that mindset of these more expensive homes. You're living there. Your friends now, that your neighbors are in the more expensive homes. The people you meet at schools they're living in more expensive homes, right? One little thing could make a huge difference in your career.
Well, I will tell you that yes, no, absolutely. I think we've done a great job. I think we've been more intentional, but I will say that moving, which was unintentional, but is responsible for a good portion of our success.
Yeah, of that increasing in the sales price, and therefore the volume, and therefore the commissions and the profits. It's always so interesting to me, and you did it as well, which is really cool. And I like that you didn't do it for that reason. You did it for the schools and the kids, but hey, it had a nice side benefit.
In fact, I was a little bit reluctant to do it because I was moving away from my business.
Right. Where your
that's how unintentional that was.
By the way, I hear that all the time too. It was very difficult to make the move, and I was very comfortable where I was. Mm-hmm. And so, but you did. Now, I want to make clear to people, you didn't just dump all your other business, right? It's just that
absolutely not.
Price moved up because you start to sell some more higher end, and then the averages were moving up, correct?
Absolutely, that's correct. We still do that business. We just didn't intentionally raise. We didn't intentionally market to those areas, and so we basically kept doing those homes, but at the same level. So we did that while doubling and tripling the area somewhere else. So yeah, absolutely not, because we take business. A lot of people think because our average price, and the average price in Memphis is like $177, so we're basically double the average price. They think, oh well, you're just only do higher dollars. I said, the common denominator on our clientele is we deal with people that will follow our plan and they do what they say they're going to do. If they do what they say they're going to do and will follow our plan, I mean, I sold a $130,000 house a couple months ago. And that was fine. I was happy to do it. They followed our plan. We got their house sold. It just that's what we do. And but it all has to do with the fact that they they either used us in the past, their friends used us in the past, their dads used us in the past, moms, something. And so we're happy to do it. Yes, absolutely.
Let's dive into the source of business. You mentioned that you track source of business, which, by the way, is a great idea. You got to know where it's coming from so you can double up in those areas that are working. You said that 70% of your business is coming from repeat and referrals, and you've also mentioned that from the very beginning of that double cycle, you were really focused on a monthly newsletter. Has that been the driver for all this repeat and referral business?
I believe it is. Keller Williams has a 33 touch program. Well, I was not smart enough to figure out how to run a 33 touch program. So I came up with my own plan. It's called the 36 touch program because 36 is divisible by 12. So I basically contact my database 3 times a month. So once is a written newsletter, and I'll tell you that we buy the content of that right now from by referral only. We did another one, Service for Life, before, and I believe they're very similar in the effectiveness. So I wouldn't get hung up on which one you do. As long as you have one that you can use, just do it. And then we send out a mid-month market update that's more information-based, but it's got our name on it, of course. And then we have 4 events a year that we invite our clients to. And they they get an invitation one month. They get the event the next month, and then the next month we call them and just kind of recap and say we're sorry they didn't come or great to see them. So we basically contact them 3 times a month in different forms. And that's absolutely. I never get that call anymore. Hey, are you still in the real estate business?
You knocked that one out.
No, stop that.
Let's break this down. I like it. It's a nice, clean, simple plan, and those are the best plans to execute. So you first have the monthly newsletter. It's physical. You're mailing it out, correct?
Yes.
Describe the newsletter. What does it look like?
So our newsletter, like I said, is the by referral newsletter. Now we do it on the yellow paper. It's the same paper every month. It's 4 pages that are folded over. So it's 8 pages. It's folded in half, and it has a stamp on it, of course. We actually used to do them ourselves. We had stacks everywhere. We send out about 1,100 a month now. And then we actually have them done by a company that does them for us. And I was thinking there would be some difference. Nobody's even can tell the difference. I mean, even I think they do use one of those prepaid bulk mail things, I think, but that's the only difference. And it's once we send out the list of who to send it to, it's done. And then we make sure we mail ourselves one for 2 different reasons. One, people will call you and ask you about stuff in your newsletter. Then when you haven't read your own newsletter, it's a problem. And then the other thing is we need to know when about they're going to get it. So that's what we do on that. And we do look through them and make sure that we agree with all the stuff you need to make sure. I was set years before to start with the newsletter company, and just for fun, I had said, hey, send me a pre-copy. And the first thing on it was, when you make an offer, sellers expect a low offer. Make your first offer 15% below asking price. And so I called him and said, hey, stop this. I don't need this. So I stopped them altogether before I can't remember the name of the company, but it was not something we wanted any part of, So we look for, anything that's going to be offensive, we take it out. And we have some other articles we've collected, and we do put some of our own stuff in there about the stuff that's coming up. And we have a little contest, trivia contest, and whoever enters, there's a $25 maybe prize value, two movie tickets or a $25 gift card or something like that. And then the other people that do respond, that bother to respond, we send them a $5 Starbucks gift card.
So this thing is it's yellow paper, black ink. You're buying a template. You're taking that template, you're modifying it to make sure that it doesn't have anything in there you don't like. Are you adding anything that's unique to you to the template, or is it just completely boilerplate? Are you adding, for instance, cells from your area or anything else, statistics?
And that one we do not. The only thing we put on our thing is about our upcoming, we do this trivia that's unique to us, of course. We do we didn't do upcoming listings. We do our events. We feature our events that are coming up. But that's all we do. So the key is to send it out every month. That's the key. Just send. Now, again, if you miss 1 month, just keep sending it out. Nobody will know. They'll think they didn't get it.
Do you have your picture on it, your faces, your names?
Oh, okay. So we do have a cover sheet that goes out with it, and it has each member. It does have all our pictures. So my theory is if they're somebody that's in the database of one of the other people, especially the buyer's agents, they think they're getting a letter from them, because we all sign it. Now it's signed, pre-signed, because there's 1,000 of them or more, and it's every month. But yeah, so they do. Yeah, we do have a cover sheet. I forgot about that. So in the cover sheet will be a very quick market recap and say if there's any changes, on the house team or anything like that. So yeah, that goes with it, and that's white paper, and that's folded inside that. And again, they do that also.
When they pop it open, there's this cover sheet that they get to see with black and white with your pictures on it, any updated information. And then the core newsletter itself, does it have your pictures and names on it?
No, it does not. No.
Just maybe the team name?
It does have our team. It does have our description of it does have, I probably should look at that. It does have like our team members and what they do, their positions.
Okay. Do you have any call to actions in either the cover letter or the newsletter itself? Are you asking them to call you to get a list of homes to see or a free market analysis or anything like that?
No, we're just reminding them that we're here in the real estate business. It's very low key.
Piece.
Now, correct. We do have some other ways of call to action.
Okay, and in the newsletter or somewhere else?
So we do from time to time have a call to action. If we have, so if we're, like for instance, we will say something like, hey, a lot of people are coming up, not going to listen until next year. So this would be late fall or even early winter. And say, so what we're doing is if you're thinking about moving and want us to come out and just take a look at you and give you some advice, feel free to call us. Very low key. Everything in that newsletter is very low key. It's a little bit about real estate, a lot just about folksy stuff. And we do not put a lot of stuff. The stuff we put a call to actions would be our mid-month email.
All right, let's hold up. We're going to go to that. Before we do, I want to finish newsletter. How much does the newsletter cost for you to mail out? Do you know how much it is per piece?
So it's right at $1 a piece. And that's
so
mailed.
Produce
everything.
It and the mail is about $1.
Yep.
And that's having someone else do all the work.
100%.
And when you were doing it yourself, do you remember what the cost was?
It was very close to $1.
It was pretty close to it. So you would recommend somebody farm this out?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I would just start that way. I mean, the only thing is just make sure your list, because whatever list you send them is what they're sending out. The advantage of doing it yourself was, when we had doubles or whatever, a lot of times we would catch it. But whatever you send them, they're gonna send out.
They're gonna just process. Very good. One more thing there. You said 1,100. Who's in that? That's your sphere of influence, past clients. Sounded like it also included your buyer agent's sphere of influence. Does it include your team members, like your administrative staff sphere?
So they have a very small staff. And, of course, we can't pay them on referrals, but they're expected to have a certain amount of referrals. But it's very small in their case. Yeah, I would say 10 to 15 people, maybe each, maybe 20, very small. But
that's a source of business. I wanted people to pick up on that.
Well, absolutely.
Now so we've got 3 parts to your monthly plan, your annual plan, but your monthly plan to get out to your sphere. Let's go to part 2, and that is the monthly mid-market, what do you call it, mid-month market update?
So it's just called a market update, and it can be called anything. We took another agent who was doing something, and we put the market statistics. We have links to the Memphis Area Association of Realtors, different stats that you could go to and get really in depth.
So this is an email. This is an email being sent out?
It's an email being sent out. And I think we use MailChimp on this, but you could use anybody. And then, what says in there is it's upcoming listings. And so on that, it'll be a description. It'll be specific enough that you know where the house is, but it'll be vague enough where we could get different calls on it, right? So it'll say something like East Memphis with a pool, 400,000.
So no address. You're giving them the idea, but no address.
Absolutely no address.
That's so they'll call.
Well, it's so they'll call, and it's so the owners don't sit there and call us and say, what are you talking about? My house is not listed for a month. So because we're sending this out and it's going to be good for a month, we're talking about things that are a week to 3 weeks out. So.
Good. So what else is in that email? You said some stats on some sales and some market information?
It's just stats on our sales. And then we'll have a call to action like, hey, we need some houses in this area for our buyers. Of course, we'd like to list the houses ourselves, but we're still looking for our buyers. Let's see. So we've got our featured listing. So we'll have one listing that we're trying to prop up. That's for two reasons, of course, to get the word out about that listing and so the owner will know we're doing something. Now right now, it's interesting. We average listing about 1.5 houses a week, and we have 2 listings that are active. They're active, not contingent or pending right now. So that's pretty easy now. It's just the one we have, right? So we'll put information on that. And then if we're doing something new, we'll put it in there. We send that, because it doesn't cost anything, we send that out to a much wider sphere. So So it goes out to, if you've contacted the house team and you haven't said, stop sending me stuff, you're going to get an email from us. So that's the people that, come through Zillow, the people that come to open houses, the people who've done anything, they're getting this email. And so we don't include our information about, our upcoming events in there, because you'll end up with we've done that before, and we end up with a lot of people from title companies and lenders that we don't even use and bought them a free dinner.
So how many people are you emailing out to each month?
It's about 2,000.
About 2,000. So almost twice as big as your core group
Yes.
of past clients and sphere of influence.
Yes.
Okay. And how do you define that? How do you know who to keep in the general group and who to keep in your tight-knit sphere group?
Okay, so we have 3 levels of, 4 members. One, sphere of influence is just everybody else. Okay, if we've got your number, we'll just send you something, right? So our top 3 groups, which is what gets our newsletter, which gets invited to everything, who we call 4 times a year, is we've got one group, we call it our advocates, which is those are people that send us more than one deal a year. And there's a 0 chance if they sold their house, they wouldn't use us. They would use us. They're 100% chance they'll use us. And then the other one is house team supporters. So our supporters are people that 100% would use us. So 95%. We feel like they're going to use us. And then and they're going to send us somebody eventually. And then the third group is people that we think there's a 90% chance they will use us to list their house, but they may or may not ever send us anybody. And that's just our house team. We just call it friends and family. Clients and friends. So that's a group. They're still going to use us, but they're never going to send us anybody. Some of those people, it's a very low connection, and some of those people just don't have it in them. They could never, even though they love you. We've got people that when they go on vacation, if they see something that reminds them of me, they'll buy it for me and bring it to me from vacation. In 15 years, they've never sent me anybody because they don't have it in them. If anybody asked them, they'd say, "I would never. You should use Chuck House. You're crazy if you don't." But they don't have it in them to butt into somebody's conversation and say, "You've got to call that."
Sure, it's just not their personality, but they are loyal to you, and they're going to come back to repeat. So they're repeaters.
Absolutely, and their parents and their kids and their brothers will use us, but it's not going to be, yeah, absolutely. So,
but you have to have a level. Do you market differently to the 3 different levels?
A little bit. So we have a dinner for our advocates, and then we invite them. So we're season ticket holders for the Memphis Grizzlies. And so we will, for everybody that has sent us somebody so far in the year, then we'll invite them to a box for the game, a particular game.
How many people are in the advocate group?
We've got 4.
4. That's
Yep.
perfect. That shows how selective you are. How many people are in the next group? I'm trying to remember. It starts with an S.
So our supporters.
Supports. I couldn't read my writing.
So our supporters, it's about 400.
About 400. And so then the last group is about 700.
About 600 right now, maybe 700. And it's the clients and friends. So if someone's a new person, so say we meet them, they call in on something. Well, we put them in that group. Okay, so they're going to get the newsletter. They're going to get. So we try to make everything really simple. So if we're going to have an 8-touch program over 8 weeks. Well, we've got 6 of the 8 touches already, if we don't do anything else. So they're, and then we reevaluate them after 90 days and after 6 months. Then after that, if they stay in, they stay in. Because after that, if they haven't. So a key to getting them off the list, if they buy a house from somebody else, they're probably coming off the list,
Sure.
And that happens, of course. In that group, it happens because it's a weaker affiliation. Whereas the supporters and advocates, right? It never happens. If you do something to supporters or advocates, you've messed something up.
Well, thank you for doing that. Let's finish up now with the 3 things you do for your marketing to your past clients and Sphere. You mentioned you got the newsletter, you got the monthly update, market update, and then you also said you got 4 events a year. What kind of events are you doing, and when are you doing them?
Well, so we do so our first event of the year is we have, Mike, the #1 Groundhog Day Fiesta in Memphis. Nobody has a better Groundhog Day Fiesta than us.
Sweet.
I'm pretty sure there's one. I'm pretty sure there's one, and ours is it. But anyway, so we have that, and it's to a local Mexican restaurant, and Mexican restaurants tend to be very affordable, and so we do have beer, margaritas, and cokes and waters, and it ends up about $15 a person, $16 a person, all in, with the room, the food, the tip, everything. Well,
how many people do you invite?
Well, we invite everybody. So we invite 900 to 1,000 people.
How many people show up?
We've constantly had between 100 and 120 people.
Okay. So you're inviting that 1,100, and I'm sorry, how many people show up? 150?
About 120. About 110 to 120.
120. So just over about 12%, just over 10% or so are going to show up.
10%, yeah. About 10%, 11%.
Do you have a cutoff? I mean, you're only going to have so many seats, and so if they don't get in, that's it. So it's 120.
It's never been a problem. I will tell you, our first year we had, of course, we had a smaller database, but our first year we had 17 people. Our second year we had 55. So it kind of grew. And now our first year to have over 100, we have 1 room reserved, and just through sheer luck, there was another room that had one of those dividers that we could move real quickly. And we did very quickly because we were crushed with people. But that was a great problem to have. And, the key is we usually spend a little under $20 a person per event. And that's, of course, not per database person, but person that shows up.
Right.
So the other thing that I found when I did this, now the next event is we do a summer movie, which a lot of people are doing now. And then the next event is we do a Memphis Tigers tailgate party before a game. So we just happen to have a really great tailgate spot, and we tailgate every game anyway. So we just invite them. We normally have maybe 40, 50 people come to that. The movie's the biggest one. We had 155 people come. The only thing we require in RSVP is we do have a pie day. We've kind of gone back and forth between Christmas and Thanksgiving. This past year we had it Thanksgiving. It turned out really well. And we found a Mennonite natural bakery. It was a little far away. It was like 40, 30 miles outside of town. But it was a kind of something special. It's fine to get them Costco. One of the biggest agents that I know, they get Costco pies. But we do go the extra step and get the It's called Backerman's Bakery. And so you have to RSVP to that, so we'll know what kind of, I think there's 3 different kinds of pies. Now, what we did on that to actually make it an event rather than just hand out pies is we have it for like 2.5 hours only. And then we have hot chocolate, coffee, and then we buy some extra pies and cut them up into little pieces that that are put a toothpick in.
Like an hors d'oeuvre.
Yeah, so they can try they can try all the ones they didn't order. And, you know, we normally have around 80 to 100 PPP, and we end up with 10 or so people that RSVP that, well, we had about 20 people, about 20% of the people RSVP and then don't come. And then about 10% of the people come and didn't RSVP. So we end up with a few extra pies, and we give out some pies to people that did not RSVP.
So I'm looking at this and doing the math of what you're saying. You're basically spending $1,000 to $2,000, maybe as high as $3,000 per event. So let's average it around 2. You're doing 4 a year. That's $8,000. You mentioned earlier your average commission is $9,000. So we're talking about one closing will pay for all these events, and this is funding 70% of your business, 75, 76 closings a year.
Yep. So when you add it up, it's a little over $700,000 total, all in, including all the mailings, all the gift cards, all the stuff. We spend about $23,000 to $24,000 on our database. So that's an incredible return.
Yeah, that's a great ROI. We're about to leave this event thing, but I want to point out again that you mentioned the powerful part of events is the invitation. You're inviting all these people.
Absolutely.
And whether they all show up or not doesn't matter. You want them to be there, but if they don't show, it's okay because they got the invite and the wrap-up. You do a wrap-up the following month. So you're still making 2 contacts at least, and maybe 3 if they show up. The invitation, how are you sending out the invitation and inviting these people in? Is it going out by mail, by email? What are you doing there?
So actually it's both. We send out to the Groundhog Day Fiesta. We have a postcard because our Groundhog Day Fiesta, our invitations, well, I wish I had one. Our invitations are so great that people probably collect them. But anyway, so we send those out, and then we do have a follow-up email only to our database. And then to our, so our movie, it's a postcard. It's got something about the movie. We have to go through a licensed person to make sure we get the licenses right because they'll have the, a lot of times a logo over the movie. But anyway, they take, the postcard companies take care of all that. And so we do send that out. And one of the things we try to do, it depends on how busy we are, frankly, is we should call all of them the month before also because it's a great way. You're always thinking I should call my database. Well, but hey, do you want to buy real estate? Do you want to sell real estate? That's kind of an awkward call, and you're going to be that guy. Well, when you call them and say, I want to make sure you got your invitation to the movie, it's a welcome call. So, but frankly, that happens about half the time that we actually do call them beforehand. Afterwards, for whatever reason, it's a little bit easier because you're planning the thing. I'm not sure why. But anyway, so we do send that out a postcard. The tailgate is an email only invitation. And the Pie Day is an email, and it's actually an invitation because they choose the kind of pie they want because it's too messy to.
On the other side of the event, one last question here. When you do the wrap-up call or the wrap-up send-out or contact, what is that? Are you sending out? Are you putting pictures on Facebook and just directing them over there by an email? What is the wrap-up contact?
It's a call. We do have them on our website. We don't do a great job of getting the pictures. The best we've done, and I recommend everybody do this, is hire a student that's pretty good at photography to take pictures and post them up there. We normally pay about $50, and they do that. We don't do that every time just because we don't. Things slip through. But no, we call them, and we end up calling. We call everybody who was there, and then we call a few people that weren't there. And getting back to your point, now you obviously knew this better than I did, but the way I figured that out about the invitation, I had somebody stop me in a public place and say, hey, thanks so much for the invitation. Sorry I didn't come. And I was a little bit disappointed. And then it occurred to me later that, hey, that person's been thinking about me enough to come up and apologize. So the invitation is the thing that you're 100% right on that. It's in every case, you're 100% right. It's just another touch.
It is. But it's even more powerful than a touch, right? Because we're talking about the law of reciprocity. You give something to someone, they want to give something back. That person felt an obligation to give you something back. If it was just an apology, something had to be given back to you.
Yeah, that was amazing. I was just shocked, and then after that I realized that, and then people, if you keep doing the same things over and over again, year to year, people are anticipating. In fact, people are asking me this year, hey, what are you going to do about your movie? And honestly, we don't have an answer for them yet. I mean, the only alternative we have right now is to rent a drive-in movie theater, which we pay about $11.50 a person. We had 155 people come last year for a movie, popcorn, and a Coke. Okay. And then they let us do a little speech beforehand, very, very short, just thanking everybody for the great year. And then they do let us give out candy, small candy bags with our logo stuff and our insurance agents and our lenders logo stuff on it. But candy also, they let us do that. Normally, that's probably not they're supposed to. But the problem with the drive-in is they'll only let us rent the entire. There's 4 screens. There's only one in Memphis, and there's 4 screens, so that's really expensive. Plus, they'll only allow 50 to 80 cars per screen. I feel like we probably would never run out, but you don't know. Whereas we do a movie in the morning, and we're renting one movie theater out, but if we overflow, we can go to another one. But this would be, we can have people drive up and not be able to get in. So that's out, besides the cost. So we're trying to find a local park that shows movies like some of the malls do, and just instead of doing it only on Thursday night, they'll do it on Wednesday night for us, and then we'll pay for it. And then Thursday night, they'll do it for the mall or whatever the heck, whatever, something they're already doing. We're trying to piggyback on something that somebody's already doing. We have not found that place yet. And I have somebody, our marketing person that's looking into it, but we haven't found it. It's just everything's different for a minute here,
Yeah, you'll have to be creative in our new world here. I was thinking maybe you do a Zoom movie where you all join in on a Zoom call and watch a movie. I don't know how you would go about that, but you'll come up with a creative answer. The key is those invitations and getting people involved and letting them know you care about them. And you're doing a great job of that, and it's obviously paying off, not only in feeling good, but in your finances. The question I want to ask you is, what drives you?
It sounds kind of hokey, but what drives me is, I just love helping people, because 2 reasons. One, I think that's probably my personality. But then once I found out that when I help people, my business went up, that, that's just made it really, really easy to do. And frankly, I like real estate anyway. I did real estate without getting paid before I was a realtor. So, I'm doing something I really like doing, and I'm helping people, which I like doing, and then it's profitable. So we're able to now go out of town quite a bit. In fact, we were fortunate enough, because we saw the COVID thing, to go into rush down to the beach, and then they locked everything down. So we're there when they locked down. And then, of course, we came home later. And then we were able to be there the first day they opened back up, So, because we're able to go on vacation right now 6 or 7 times a year. Part of the reason that is financial, but the other reason is because our organization runs so well that the week we went out of town, then we had 8 closings. We had 3 listing appointments. Our director of marketing went on those and took them. And we had wrote 3 buyer's agents, 3 buyer's contract. 1 was our buyer's agent, and 2 was actually my wife, who wrote them with, one of our licensed agents just showing them the house. And we did it, just while we're down at the beach. So, anybody that complains about the real estate business, I have no sympathy for them.
There's a way to mold it to the lifestyle that you want.
That's correct. Yes.
That is fantastic. Well, Chuck, if an agent was just getting in the business and you were going to advise them, what would you tell a brand new agent just getting in the business? What would you tell them to do first?
Well, I would tell them two things: learn your craft and contact the people that know, like, and trust you, and get them. And frankly, be willing to start working more with buyers than listings to begin with. But then start getting listings. But if you're not sending out something and calling the people that know, like, and trust you, you're not serious about this business. If you don't know 80 people, you shouldn't be in it. You can ask them, who should I know? And one key to that, as I always mention, is, put the people on that list that would be in a position, if they didn't have a house, to buy a house you'd like to sell. If you're really, really young, you might want to call your the parents of the people you know. But call people that already know, like, and trust you. Get them on a newsletter. Get them to agree to be on a newsletter. Say, I just want to, give you some information about the real estate business, and just stay in touch with you. Would you mind? Tell them you'll send them every so often. Don't even tell them every month. If you do that within a year, you'll be doing great business.
Well, Chuck, I've come to the end of my questions for today. Do you have any parting thoughts for the listeners?
No, just you've chosen, if you're in real estate, you've chosen a great business, and what you want to do, in my opinion, is you want to make it work for you. And we've been able to. Before, it was fine. I had a nice business. I made a decent living. Everything was fine. But since we started planning it, and since we started following the plan and paying attention, doing things intentionally, we've had a great life. And you can do the same thing if you just plan it and do some, get training so you'll learn the trade, not the tricks of the trade.
Very good, Chuck. Well, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Chuck. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for joining us on Success Calls. Keep moving forward. Bye.
If you like the show and want to know when the next one's coming out, click the subscribe button. And if you want to hear more episodes like this, give the show a 5-star review and write a quick comment. I read them all, and it motivates me to keep going and share the top agent success stories with you. Thanks. If you're looking for more ways to generate leads, check out our sponsor, RealGTV, Real Estate Agent Lead Generation Television, and their giant database library of video trainings where top agents reveal, demonstrate, and discuss their best lead generation methods. Visit RealGTV, REALG.TV. If you're low on funds or just want to get the maximum leverage, check out my masterclass webinar titled Top 5 Free Lead Sources for Real Estate Agents. Learn more at freeleadtime.com. That's freeleadtime.com. Oh, and if you have a real estate friend who needs some inspiration, tell them about the Success Calls podcast. And don't you forget to subscribe right now to hear all the great top agent ideas. Keep moving forward.
You've been listening to Success Calls on the Mastermind Agent Network, where top real estate agents from across North America reveal their success secrets, strategies, and systems in up-close and personal interviews. You can find all the calls at www.mastermindagent.com.